All right, it's time for another horror film review. It's October. It seems we've been getting quite a lot of horror films this year. Well, it's near Halloween, so I guess it's fitting. And, well, I guess if you were too young for Saw X, then I guess this is a film for you. It's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's the video game movie. Uh, well, it's the adaptation of the hugely successful jump scare let's play phenomenon Five Nights at Freddy's, the massively successful franchise. Well, the film follows Mike, played by Josh Hutcherson, and yeah, he's a man that's tormented by past trauma. As a child, he witnessed the abduction of his younger brother, and this is an incident which just shattered his happy family. And now he's a grown man, and he struggles to hold on to temporary security guard jobs. Basically, he has the habit of freaking out and beating up people that he thinks are preying on kids, even when they're not. And not only does he not wish to move on from the events of that fateful day in his past, he's actually trying to relive it every night in his dreams, hoping that uh, he may recall something which will help solve his brother's kidnapping. Now, as Mike gets fired from yet another job, his Aunt Jane, played by Mary Stuart Masterson, is actually seeking custody of his troubled 10-year-old little sister, Abby. Uh, but Mike is desperate to hold on to the only family that he has left, and so he takes a peculiar night watch job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, an eccentric theme restaurant. The pizzeria was once a place of laughter and fun for children, and now it just sits abandoned, dusty, and locked up tight. Now, the restaurant's giant furry animal animatronic abominations now just sit silent as the grave, but not for long. Now, at first things just seem creepy. Mike meets Vanessa, played by Elizabeth Lyle, who's a local police officer and a fan of the pizzeria, and she introduces Mike to the once lovable mascots. Mike starts having stronger dreams and begins to notice other disturbing occurrences at the pizzeria. There's something very wrong about this pizzeria and its robotic mascots. Now, over 5 nights, he must uncover the mysterious past and shocking secret of Freddy Fazbear and his friends. Now, as I said, to say that Five Nights at Freddy's have been successful, the games have been successful, would be a giant understatement. It was created in 2014 by a man called Scott Cawthon, and the series gained immense popularity amongst gamers. It's simple but engaging and scary gameplay was accompanied by the series' deep lore, which is only built with each new installment. Uh, Now, with such a runaway crowd pleaser, it I mean, it was pretty inevitable that someday there would be a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And now we have one. It's directed by Emma Tammy and with a script that she co-wrote with Cawthon himself. Blumhouse Productions brings Freddy and his killer friends to the silver screen finally. Now, I have played some of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, but still, I was not completely versed on them before seeing this film. At least there was portions of the lore, and basically, I've only really played the first one to be honest. And yeah, there was a lot of more secrets, and the history of the characters and stuff like that is really it's stuff that's built up over the course of the series. But what I can say for sure about this movie is that it really is it really is impressive just how well the filmmakers have actually recreated the look of the games in this film. Unlike many video game movie adaptations, yeah, the creator Scott Cawthon, he's actually retained some creative control here, and it really does show all throughout the film. Primarily, it's seen in the physical design of the animatronic horrors themselves. The wise decision was made not to use CGI, and instead the film's monsters are a mix of costumed performers and puppetry. And yeah, the puppets are puppeteered by the world's premier creature effects house, Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Yeah, they're actually the ones that were responsible for crafting and puppeteering these larger than life horrors. Visually, they really do toe the line between being believable as a source of children's entertainment, but also of their nightmares when viewed in a different context. Personally, the standout character for me was the most complex looking one, Foxy, which it's that one in particular is designed in such a way that it was clear that there was no actor hiding within the suit manipulating its movement. All of them are puppeteered in one way or another, but Foxy in particular, you can tell there's nobody inside that suit. So that was the one that I was most impressed by. Um, Beyond that, the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, the games, is also respected in the film's screenplay. Perhaps even to its detriment, as the franchise's built-in fan base will already know several key plot twists long before they're revealed. However, I was too impressed by the psychological aspect of the film, particularly early on. Like the idea of Mike attempting to manipulate his dreams into revealing secrets of his past torment. That was actually an interesting idea. Like I thought that was really quite quite smart. And something that I've noticed is that the better video game movies are the ones that don't just stick to being action movies, I guess. There's plenty of them that I liked. I liked the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider. I liked um, some. There's other ones as well that I actually did like, but I've found that the ones that are the most interesting are ones like Silent Hill or this film here. Actually, for it's something other than being an action movie. It's yeah, it tries to be something else. And the Super Mario Brothers movie that just came out, the animated one, being kind of like a kids movie, and I don't know when it's not just an action film. Yeah, I think that it brings something new to the table that actually I think makes the movie work a bit better as a film, uh, where a lot of other video game movies kind of flounder in that regard. Um, but as far as Mike's dreams and stuff, like I thought it was also an interesting way to kind of tie into the film's the Five Nights motif. Like each night he feels like he's drawing closer to the truth. But yeah, unfortunately, the film does kind of drop this later in the narrative in exchange for more traditional reveals. And I know that I said that fans of the games would kind of know a lot of the plot twists before they happen, but to be honest, even if you don't, I think you'll be able to see at least one major one. You'll probably be able to figure it out long before it's actually revealed. And I'm sure that the defense would be, well, it's a movie for kids, but it's not really because it is quite violent and it is quite dark and it is taking itself quite serious in places. Like the psychological horror aspect is pretty full on. That's not a it's not a kids movie thing. So I kind of would have liked for the at least some of the later reveals to be handled a little bit better. That kind of leads me to one of the aspect of the games which I feel that the film doesn't quite live up to, which is the scares. The terror of the game are, I think they're attributed mostly to its jump scares, at least in my experience with them. Uh, and this mostly comes from Freddy and the other animatronic toys, kind of uh, moving closer and closer to you while you're not looking. And the game fails if you let them get too close to you, at which point you jump out of your shocks because you get hit by a jump scare. Um, it in contrast, the movie just isn't particularly scary, largely just due to how the monsters are shot. They're built up in the story appropriately before being revealed. I mean, it's a good half hour or so into the film, I think, before you actually see them properly. But often they're shown to be moving around, just these really awkwardly lumbering around behemoths, which I think kind of detracts from the shock factor that the games are so well known for. I it wasn't this bad, but it made me think of the 1970s King Kong movie where they made I think Stan Winston Studios made a giant, like, a life-sized King Kong animatronic. I think they spent like an eighth of the film's budget making that thing, and it looked like crap, and it moved like crap, and it's only in one shot of the movie because it looked like crap and moved like crap. um, so, I mean, the animatronics in this actually look really good, but just how they're shot just doesn't really doesn't utilize them that well. I don't know whether yeah, I don't know whether Emma Tammy was the best choice for director of this, because yeah, it's just not scary how they're filmed. I mean, I'm not a fan of an overuse of jump scares in movies. It's like I do think that it's kind of a cheap substitute for true horror. But like, this is one time that it would have been completely appropriate, and the scares just aren't there. So, I mean, still, there is plenty for the Five Nights at Freddy's fan base to enjoy about this adaptation. It's violent, it's creative, and it's true to the source material in ways that many video game movies aren't. The effects by Jim Henson's Creature Shop are top notch. That is, when they're shot correctly. And the film features a decent performance from Josh Hutcherson. But I just wish that the film had some more legitimate scares to pull it all together. I think that's really what would have made it really pop for me. But I'm still going to give it 3.5 out of 5. I did enjoy the film a lot more than I thought I would. And yeah, I guess it's one that, if you're a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's video games, or even if I don't know, even if you're not, if you just want to see how a movie about monster animatronic, uh, I mean, there was the Nicolas Cage movie, Willy's Wonderland, a couple of years ago, which, unfortunately, this is a movie that's been in the pipeline for so long that yeah, Willy's Wonderland kind of beat it to the punch by a couple of years. So I don't know if you enjoyed that movie. Maybe check this one out, because this is the actual name brand animatronic monster movie. So yeah, give it a shot.